What's the NASA get up? You the NASA guy?
I worked for NASA in a previous life
Oh, cool.
when I was a chimpanzee.
They shoot you up in space?
They did.
How was that?
Not great. The shuttle kind of broke apart, but
Uh.
fortunately I was rescued by an alien that was passing by.
You know, that's really fortunate.
Yeah, it happens
Yeah.
sometimes if you're lucky. And
They drop you down out in, like, Nevada or something?
Well, he
were
dropped me
talking
here in
about
San
that.
Francisco, actually.
Wow, very nice.
Because, yeah, we got to talking with first sign language, and then he got tired of the sign language and turned me into a human so that we could speak.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. I didn't
And
figure out English. Have they been watching us? Is it
then
sort of Lex Friedman type thing?
Absolutely.
Or Joe Rogan, where they just kind of been observing us for a while?
camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, camera 5. I think we're all go. Yeah, that's red.
You got
Yeah,
set
mine are
before me
going.
this time?
You got your audio going, Dave?
Let's do that. 5 seconds.
Thank you so much for stopping. We just got here and
I'm back in San Francisco for the first time in 10 years, and I'm just sort of wandering around, taking photos of all the things that have changed for my dad. He's from there originally. So,
where you coming here from?
I was just in DC. I'm from up and down the East Coast for the most part, but got family here. So.
Yeah,
keep an eye on
we're
the
rolling on at least those, so.
I'm rolling on all my cameras and we got the audio going.
Yeah,
So
I'll do the rest here.
yeah, I mostly spent all around the South.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I moved here in 1997. Yeah, I think it is.
It is. It's very nice. Gotta love the weather here. Not a huge fan of the fog, to be honest, but besides that, you know, it's pretty good.
It's creeping in.
Yeah, my I guess another hot take I can give you is that palm trees should be illegal. But
Palm tree.
I think that one might get a little spicy.
Goodness.
Well, because there was the whole thing about how I'm not sure about the actual factualness of this, but I think, or I'm not mistaken, most of the palm trees in California are invasive. They were brought in where the original flora was more deciduous or coniferous. I don't know. I don't know enough about that.
Yeah, more like dinosaur forests.
Yeah, I think like there were way more redwoods, way more
Yeah.
coniferous, I don't know, California pines and stuff.
So I got turned.
Yeah, I may have just.
Want that one looking at you. This is my #1 camera here. So, first of all, I would like to get your first name.
My first name is Austen,
Austen.
spelled like Jane, not Texas.
Oh, with an E in.
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents decided to get a little creative with that one.
Awesome. Feeling from the East Coast, visiting our beautiful city. Oh, I'm glad you're having a good time. You? See the fireworks?
Did, yeah.
It's pretty nice. So, this claim you mentioned earlier about there should be non-dairy alternative everywhere you go.
Yep.
Is that what you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, I think that pretty much everywhere you've got a dairy product, particularly in beverages, there should be a non-dairy option. It's polite, it's considerate.
Well, usually what we do is try to frame it into a fact claim about the world.
Oh, a fact claim
not,
about the
not
world.
sort of an ought.
Okay. Well, then I will make it.
If you were to say like, I don't know, what would you think?
Let's frame it this way. Let's say that the dairy industry should be phased out.
Okay,
Let's put it in the same category as the
that seems a
petrochemical.
lot more clear than
Yeah,
the
let's put it-
non-dairy.
Let's put it as in the same category as the petrochemical industry. That's the first one that comes to mind. Obviously, coal mining. I guess that's
Yes.
Dairy,
fossil fuel.
out.
Yeah. Let's lump it in with fossil fuels and all the other stuff. Trying to get rid of microplastics,
with
all that nasty stuff.
I'm gonna put oil.
Yeah.
Dairy phased out along with oil.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good thing that we could talk about.
Right.
So, how did you come to this conclusion?
Well, so
That it should be phased out. I can see having alternatives. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having choices, but why should dairy?
Well, so, all right. I used to be a big cheese lover. I love me some cheese. Love me some goat cheese particularly. But over a course of sort of health developments, I stopped being able to eat dairy. And that opened my eyes to not only the variety of non-dairy alternatives that are generally available, but also just that, I started doing a little bit more research into the dairy industry, into veganism, mostly out of health concerns, but then I got a little bit more ideological about it. And I realized that the dairy industry in particular it's essentially just this industrial scale animal abuse for a product that we don't really need. I mean, I could boil it down to that. There's a little bit more specifics that I am aware of, but fundamentally, it's something that, I understand that it's had an important place in human history and culture, much like oil, which we're comparing it to, but, we're moving into a new era. We can make dairy products out of plants for the most part, so why don't we just focus on phasing it out?
And what would you say is your confidence level? How sure are you that this
I would put my confidence level at,
you can
are we, yeah,
0 to a 100?
0 to a 100? All right.
100 is you cannot possibly be wrong.
You know what? I'm not going to give myself 100, but I think I'm going to give myself a solid 85.
85.
I'm going to give myself a solid 85. Yeah.
That sounds like a good, confident conclusion. And so it sounds like because of alternatives being available that are just as good,
Primarily, yeah.
because of the fact that there are perhaps problems with the dairy industry, ethically or morally,
Ethically, morally,
maybe even economically.
economically, there are, yeah, we can talk about that, how they store up a bunch of milk every year and destroy it to keep the prices high,
Like they do with oil.
like they do with oil.
Yeah.
Like they do with oil.
Good point.
Dad, you used to drive
So
me.
it sounds like you came to this conclusion mostly through research.
Through research and through my own experience of, having to basically go dairy free and examine what the alternatives were and really, learn a little bit more, particularly about veganism, vegan ideology. I myself am not a vegan. I still do eat meat on occasion, but for the most part, I think that the dairy industry in particular is one of those things that we could focus on phasing out a lot more quickly than other aspects of animal-based agriculture.
And so this research, was it basically like one primary source, or was it a bunch of different sources that all seem to agree?
A lot of different sources that generally agree. I would say that most of the stuff that you read that seems a little bit more pro-dairy, particularly coming up in mainstream media, articles about the dairy industry having all these woe is me, we're losing market share and everything. All of that just comes off as propaganda. Whereas when you look into the people who are a little bit more anti-dairy, a little bit more moving us toward a plant-based future, you see a lot more concern with environmental welfare, animal welfare. You've got groups like PETA. I've got my issues with them. I'm sure we all do. But, they do some good research they've done some good exposés on, all facets of animal exploitation. There's just, and there's a lot of resources for, particularly in the vegan community, of just exposing a lot of the problems that there have been with the dairy industry.
It sounds like it's both research, scientific research, but also sort of expose pieces.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, I was thinking primarily, mainstream media type stuff, but there is also scientific research that, there's a lot of people who, particularly in the West, particularly in the East, who, Asian type people who lose the ability to digest dairy after a certain age. But, increasingly we're seeing that in the United States as well. People have to take lactate, people take, digestive enzymes just to digest this milk. Milk is it's supposed to come out of, our mother's breasts and feed us when we're babies. It's not supposed to be, for life.
Because we're mammals.
Because we're mammals, yeah. Yeah, it's important when you're a child. It's important for young calves to drink, their mother's, cow milk.
So, journalistic exposés and research.
Yeah. Let's say that those are my sources.
So, those are the two main sort of source for
Yeah.
your conclusion.
Yeah, I've done a little bit more looking into it than just a trust me bro, but I'm sure I could probably pull off that.
Well, so and the research and the which would you say is the bigger factor?
And between
primary
mainstream coverage versus research?
Yeah, what's the primary reason that you think it should be phased out? Is it the journalistic expertise?
I would honestly say it's an amalgam of the two. I wouldn't necessarily weight one more than the other. I think that the totality of everything, all the information that I personally have been exposed to about the dairy industry has made me feel very much that it's something that we can, as a society, as an economy, focus on replacing.
So, what makes scientific research, a good method to look to get to 85% confidence?
Well, I think for me personally, I have a background in reading and writing research papers, scientific papers, and that sort of thing. So, a well-written scientific paper that has all of its disclosures at the end, that has all of its methods clearly stated, that has, if it's a review paper that reviews appropriate articles with appropriate sources, if it's an independent investigation that it details its methods and results. I think that something like that is very convincing because I do fundamentally have faith in the scientific method, and obviously, as science evolves, our scientific evidence changes. But I think we have learned a lot about, particularly the problems with people being able to digest dairy and the general lack of danger in alternatives.
The journalistic exposés, you said that's equally a part of your practice. When the externalistic essays a good reason to be confident in the conclusion. Did you look into the journalistic practices of the journalists?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky these days with the mainstream media because you never really know if something is propaganda coming from a particular wing of the political realm or if it's actual traditional journalism. But I think that
you really mean to say that you never really know? Or it's difficult to know?
I would say it's difficult to know. I wouldn't say you never really know.
Never is a strong word.
Yeah, it's more that it can be very difficult in some realms to decipher.
Don't let me put words in your mouth.
No, yeah, there's a lot of reading between the lines that you have to do, these days. But I would say that for this particular issue, I have personally seen some articles in various, large traditional mainstream news media that talks about, the downfall of the dairy industry, and the dairy industry is trying to combat their loss of market share. They're trying to do all of these various things that ultimately sort of illustrate the fact that they are losing this battle. So, I mean, is it as trustworthy as a scientific study in terms of pure facts? No. Is it illustrative of broader social trends? I would say so.
And probably see it as more of an emotional impact.
Oh, certainly more of an emotional impact. I mean, science is basically raw data. You can get a little creative in the discussion section, but definitely getting a lot more emotional impact from reading something in, any given major newspaper.
Do you think that a method like journalistic exposés that has a very pronounced emotional impact is a good method to conclude things? Because maybe when your emotions are involved,
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. When emotions are involved, it can be very easy to get swayed to one side or the other. I think that for me,
sophistry.
Yeah, I would say that having solid grounding in facts, and particularly being that I am aware of the scientific background of,
Okay, so you're saying that without the scientific background, you might be persuaded, but the background lets you know whether it's guiding you in the right way.
Yeah. I think that's sort of going back to what I was saying earlier about how I, really
So
need
they're sort of dependent on each other.
Yeah.
Because without the emotion, you don't care. Without the science, you don't know what's true.
That's a very good way of putting it, yeah. boil it down.
So if they're reliant on each other, then you can't have one without the other, and have it be.
I mean, you
Well, I guess you
certainly
could have science, but
Yeah.
then you might not have internet.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Because you could have either one or the other if you didn't care as much. Like, there are plenty of people who make decisions.
You don't
just
care what's
on-
true.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't fundamentally care what's true, and you're just looking for something to reinforce your own personally held opinions, you can be swayed by either one. You know, we are fundamentally, as human beings, we like to seek things that reinforce the beliefs that we already have. So, I mean, I can see an individual being swayed by either one. I just personally don't. It's not that.
So if there are emotional issues involved,
Yeah.
that strikes me as possibly more ethically, morally related than
Mhm.
factually related. So
Yeah, okay.
perhaps, sure what I'm trying to say here. If it's an ethical or moral concern, then how do you know that it's true? Like, how do you know what's ethical and what's moral?
Oh, so
How do you know that it's immoral to do the things that you're saying are immoral?
well, I think that if we're trying to look for a source of morality in the
Yes,
claim,
I guess that's what I'm kind of
Okay.
asking. Yeah.
All right.
What's the source of the morality
Yeah.
that you're using to judge that it's immoral?
Okay.
Is it like I don't know, does it come from a religion or does it come from an upbringing? Where does it come from?
For me, it doesn't really come from religion or upbringing. It comes more from just this general
Just
sense.
logic?
Well, I don't want to base.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. So-
Yeah, I don't want to base it entirely on logic either, because if you go pure logic, you become Spock and you have no emotion. So, I would say
He was half human. He had emotions.
Uh,
Suppressed them.
just suppress them. Yeah, fair enough. I'm not super familiar with that lore. But
Okay.
it's easy byword for being overly logical. I would say that for if I were to try to define an ethical basis for, again, the claim phasing out the dairy industry, getting rid of it within X number of years, the way we're trying to do with oil, I would say that by analogy, the petrochemical industry we've seen has caused a lot of harm to our environment, to our biology. We've all got microplastics in us thanks to the proliferation of petrochemicals. We've got, massive amounts of CO2 in the atmosphere. We've got particulate matter in the atmosphere, all this sort of stuff. There are all of these ecological harms that have been done that make it more difficult, not only for us to live on the planet, but for other organisms. And I think by reducing that to this idea of doing harm, I would say that on balance, the harm that's done by the dairy industry, particularly to the animals, outweighs the good. I would say that the value that is created by having the dairy industry is very quickly starting to tilt towards.
Okay,
You
so
know.
that's where all the health stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the moral harm as well as the harm to
Yeah.
the environment, to people's health.
Yeah.
All kinds of harm all over the place. And you don't see any real benefit because it can substitute itself.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't have all of those things.
Yeah, like there was obviously a time in history when we needed dairy. It was, essential to us getting to where we are, just like oil was essential to getting us to where we are. But we're here now. We have alternatives. We can move forward.
Time when we needed sailing ships.
There was a time when we needed sailing ships. Now we can just have them over there and look at them and admire them and say, hey, that was the past. That was something we needed once.
So you're
It's
saying
beautiful.
that dairy should be decommissioned.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's say that. Dairy should be decommissioned.
Dairy decommissioned. I'm changing your claim.
Okay, dairy should be decommissioned.
Decommissioned dairy.
Maybe we can, make a few exceptions for some very, ethical, small-scale farmers off in the Alps who are making, artisanal cheeses that they've been making for thousands of years or
Yeah,
whatnot.
it might be hard to take the cheese away from the Swiss.
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing it, and this is another thing. This takes us a little bit to a tangent, so I don't want to go too far there. But
Oh, please.
on balance, animal agriculture, it's been necessary for a long time. We've needed it. We've needed, animal
What makes
fat,
it
animal
not
protein.
necessary any longer then?
I don't know that we're there yet overall, but I would say that dairy is a subset of animal agriculture that we're certainly surpassing. I would say that overall humans' protein needs still necessitate things like mass production of chicken, for instance, mass production of beef. Regrettably, that is a major source of greenhouse gases and other pollutants. But we're not quite at a point yet where we can sustainably replace that. Like maybe if we get lab-grown meat, that's a whole other story. But anyway, that's a tangent. Main point being that I was trying to make there was that a small-scale ethical farm, doing traditional farming practices. I personally don't have a problem with that on the basis of heritage and on the basis of treating the animals ethically, respecting them as animals. I could get really deep into the ethics of that. But fundamentally, what it comes down to is the balance of harm and good done.
So basically, would each and every one of these harms have to be acknowledged and addressed for ameliorated for be okay?
Yeah, I wouldn't say acknowledged, addressed, and ameliorated, but just balanced. Like there's a
moderation in all things, kind of.
Yeah. There's a downside and upside to everything. You just have to ideally make sure the upside's bigger than the downside.
So I was supposed to bring it back to the methods. Your methods are scientific research, and you talked about why that's a good method. A little bit. The journalistic ways that provide the emotional punch that get you motivated to do something. Perhaps. Do you have any questions about reducing harm? Because he talked about the main motivation being reduction of harm, and I know that's the way you like to do it.
Why are the methods that you're using? Why are you convinced that the methods you're using to arrive at this conclusion solid methods?
Why am I convinced that they're solid methods?
To get to 85%.
Yeah, why are you convinced that those methods are solid enough to support 85%?
I could maybe try to put it this way. What keeps you from 100%? What's the 50%? Is there down in there?
Yeah, I would say that, ultimately, like you just said, what makes me convinced that the methods are solid methods? They're the best methods we have. Are they perfect? No, humans came up with them. They're not perfect. We always develop new methods of knowing. We always develop new methods of discovering information and knowledge and everything. Like,
are they 85% reliable?
I would say just,
So I guess reliable is another word for consistent.
Yeah.
Whatever. Solid. Are they 85% solid?
That would be my estimate.
They get you there.
That would be my estimate. I look around at the world. I see buildings that have been built. I see people wearing clothing. I'd say that, everyone's got issues. Everyone's got problems. Like, nothing's perfect. But I would say that on balance, the developed world in particular, I would say works about 85% of the time, in my personal experience.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
if you found out that they were 65% solid,
Okay.
would you change your confidence to 65?
Yeah, probably. If someone were to, come and present me with definitive information that says, hey, you know what? You estimated at 85, you're off by 20 points, then sure.
Can you imagine what kind of thing you might discover that would lower your confidence? And maybe even just by a little bit, not like completely change your mind, but there's anything that would lower your confidence?
I mean, that's the thing. I can't imagine what it would be, because it's something that would it would have to be something novel presented to me that would change my confidence. I'm trying to think of maybe an example of something where,
I guess something you don't know, or something that turns out to be the opposite of what you think it is.
well, I guess actually I can go back to my initial transition away from consuming dairy myself, because I used to think that it was good for me. It had lots of vitamins, lots of fats, lots of all sorts of good stuff in it. And then I started learning more. I started learning, okay, my body has trouble digesting it. It's got lactose, which is difficult to digest. It's got casein in it, which is difficult to digest. It's, in large cases, particularly for homogenized pasteurized milk, it's manufactured in these huge factory farms, and they're not necessarily the most humane in their treatment of the animals. And I think when I was presented with that information, it was very easy for me to go from a high confidence level of, oh, this is good for me, to saying, okay, you know what? There are some issues with this, and there are these alternatives. Fortunately, that changeover happened at about the same time as almond milk and oat milk were gaining in popularity about 10-ish years ago. So that was very fortuitous for me, that not only did I have that information coming up to show me that what I thought was incorrect, but that there were alternatives and that I could explore those alternatives.
Cool.
So it sounds like you would lower your confidence if you encountered evidence.
Yeah. If someone came to me tomorrow and said, hey, there has been a groundbreaking study, it's been, independently commissioned, it's not funded by the dairy
Maybe
industry
they
or anything.
discovered, like, specifically chickens don't have, like, consciousness or something.
Well, I actually wasn't going in that direction. I was going to say, if someone came to me tomorrow and said, like, all right, oat milk causes cancer 100% of the time. If someone told me that, they were like, we have this groundbreaking new study, we've got, cancer is up by some ridiculous percent, and all these people are drinking oat milk.
Hear the media now. Nut milks.
Yeah.
Shun nut milks.
Yeah. So
Cancer.
if someone were to do that and I went to the bottom of the page and I didn't see that it was paid for by some company from Wisconsin, then, I might be swayed.
So if the conclusion, or rather if the non-dairy option were found to be more harmful.
Yeah. I believe in I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing of the saying. I think it's something like strong beliefs loosely held. Are you familiar with that expression? Something like that?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. When there's information there and you can, have an opinion, have a belief, commit to it, and as new information comes in, it's...
What is the value of committing to a belief?
I think that...
I think I can see the value of, not holding on to it too tightly, but it's the value I'm attracted.
Yeah, I would say that for me, when I say committing to a belief, I would say that if you have information that a certain path that you can take in life, be it, deciding on what you're going to be putting in your food or what you're going to be doing professionally or anything like that, if something presents itself as a good move, for lack of a better word, or lack of a better term, then take that path. And if that path later on turns out to be very much not a good move, then, go for it 100% until you reach, if the bridge looks solid, follow the bridge. If you suddenly see that the bridge ends, all right, well, you know what? It looked solid. We explored that option, but it turned out to be the wrong move.
Kind of sounds like you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you don't hold on to it too tightly, it's okay to have a conviction, because then you can act in the world, and that's the only way you're going to find out if you're wrong.
Yeah. I think this is something that's very... Sorry, no, go ahead.
Sorry, to find the new evidence that would convince you to let go of it.
Yeah. Like, I think it's very important to, and this is an idea that, I've heard floating around in the podcast sphere a lot lately, just your ideas are not you. I think people like Joe Rogan will say that. I think Jocko Willink will say that. People like, that will say things like that. Your ideas are not you. You're welcome to, possess your ideas. You can hold your ideas. You can believe your ideas. But your ideas are not your identity. You are a person independent of your ideas. And so, to bring this back again to what we're talking about, my beliefs about dairy are not me. That's not my identity. My identity is not a vegan, anti-dairy person. I'm just a person.
Is that why you can hold on to it loosely? Because it's not core to your identity?
Yeah, it's not a core to my identity. It has some bearing on my identity, certainly. It has some bearing on how I live my life. But ultimately, it's not who I am. I'm not going around, flying a flag.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
If we were to have another chance of talking, I do live here in town.
Okay.
Come back. If you were to identify a belief that was core to your identity, what kind of belief might that be? It won't be for this interview, but
okay.
For comparison, what would be? What would be? What makes up for?
I would say that the one core belief that I have, and I believe this very sincerely, is all human beings are equally valid. And I believe that, like, very, very firmly.
You find valid.
I would say, this is where I would have to, I would have to spend some time, like, working out how to explain my philosophy on this. So, I'd be happy to do another conversation about this.
Yeah,
but-
no, we could do it another time.
Yeah,
But yeah, all humans are equally valid.
yeah, I mean, we just had the 4th of July yesterday. All men are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain rights, etc., inalienable rights. That Enlightenment ideal that every human being is an equally valid human being before the totality of the universe.
Are you referring to their existence or their beliefs and conclusions?
I would say that
Perspective.
beliefs, conclusions, and perspective are inherently flawed. But I would say that anyone has the right to hold any belief, conclusion, or perspective that they want. Anyone has the right to exist the way they want. Anyone, provided they're not harming people. And again, we'd go down a whole philosophical wormhole if we were to explore.
So
this.
you have the right to be wrong, essentially.
You do have the right to be wrong, and you have the right to be corrected to be wrong. Something. You have the right to go and commit a crime. You also have the right to be prosecuted for that crime.
And how would we discover if we were wrong? What's the
That's gonna take some. That's a separate conversation. That's something I'm gonna have to mull over. But
we should probably because we're getting off on a tangent.
yeah,
So do you think in conclusion
yeah.
that scientific research, which you say has a track record of success, I think you say,
Yeah.
not
It has a
word.
good enough track record of success. Let's not give science too much due, but yeah, it's good enough.
Good
It's
enough
gotten
to
us
get
here.
to 85%. But
It's gotten us these cameras. It's gotten us
still,
microphones.
leaving enough doubt where that enables you to take in new information.
Certainly. Certainly.
All right. So, do you think, after reviewing your reasoning, 85% is still a good place to be? Or would you like to
I would say that
change your number? You don't have to. It's your
No.
opportunity based on your own personal assessment, not on mine.
yeah, I would say that as of right this moment, I'm still sitting at 85%.
Yeah, still at 80.
But I do take what you said very seriously. If someone were to present me with something that were to move into 65%, I'd be open to that. If someone suddenly told me that, hey, what 65, what's that, 35%? Someone's like, yeah, there is a 35% chance that you were completely wrong about this. Sure. If the evidence is there, if the evidence is good, then
Is that the best way to find the truth?
I think it's the best way that we have.
Best way
It's
that we
the
have.
best way that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good.
Cool.
We can end it there, and this is the opportunity for you to ask me any questions, because I'm supposed to remain completely neutral
Uh-huh.
throughout questioning you. But so I can't give any opinion. But if you'd like to know anything about my opinion, about anything you feel like you're welcome to ask, or anything else you might.
Well, I mean, sure. Can I ask what is your personal opinion about the dairy industry?
Well, I'm in the same boat as you.
Okay.
I drank dairy for, say, pretty much like water for like 40 years, and then lately I couldn't handle it anymore. So
Yeah.
I had to give it up and start finding alternatives.
What's your favorite alternative?
I mostly just drink chai tea now.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's not really dairy alternative.
Yeah. Do you have a dairy alternative you like in your coffee or your chai or anything?
No, not really.
Have you tried them?
I don't really care for milk, I guess.
Okay. Have you tried oat milk?
I've tried them all. I
Okay.
mean, they're okay.
They don't do the same thing
They
in
don't do the
milk
same
for what you
thing.
want.
Yeah.
But I think that particularly for
The
coffee.
thing is, with
yeah.
coffee and with chai,
Yeah.
it's really good. You don't need to add it.
See, I'm a
It's
big
got to be really good now.
coffee or milk in my coffee guy, and I do like oat milk. I do think it's probably one of the best ones. Actually, I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. This is my friend's coffee shop in Hartford, Connecticut, and he was the first one about 8 years ago who introduced me to oat milk, and that was like the early Oatly barista version, and it was delicious. And that was the moment I switched over. I'd been drinking almond milk, for 2-3 years, but man, that oat milk hit different. He gave me a cappuccino, and I was hooked. So,
Well, perhaps they'll come up with some innovation that's better substitute than the ones they currently have.
I'm sure
Then-
innovation never stops. So,
Yeah, like never give up. There's always possibility for improvement. And if they could come up with a perfect substitute that perhaps everyone would just switch. You know, if it's cheaper and healthier and tastes the same,
yeah.
why would you switch?
Are you excited for things like lab-grown meat?
I am, because I haven't eaten any animals
Mhm.
since I was 14.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
Vegan, vegetarian? Oh well,
Not
you
ve-
drank
not vegan.
milk.
Yeah,
so
not
vegetarian,
vegan. I just, so if it could be more ethical by virtue of them not having a simple nervous system,
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, I'm all for lab-grown meat. I am so excited for
But at
that.
the same time, there's just so many different things on Earth that are delicious to eat.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder about the vegetarians who eat meat substitutes.
Mhm.
That, like, why do you want a meat substitute?
Yeah.
Why do you want pretending to be meat? Because there's just so many other things in meat that are all delicious.
Yeah.
If you don't like the thought, then why would you like the thought of some any?
I do give credit to Beyond Meat because it doesn't taste quite like. I don't think of it like meat. I think of it like just a ground plant product,
Yeah.
plant protein. I like it in pasta. I like it on rice.
Morningstar burger.
I do not like those, and I don't like the Beyond Burgers either. I don't eat it as a burger. I eat it ground up, and that's delicious. But yeah, I'm with you on plant-based meat alternatives. Not really. I'm fine. It's kind of simple.
Like, I think you could set a better example as a vegetarian, showing people that I can eat things that aren't even meat
Yeah.
and enjoy myself. Whereas, if you have to use a meat substitute, then it kind of implies the meat is necessary in some way.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
No, I'm with you on that. The one thing I will say though is that cheese. There are some incredibly good vegan cheeses.
Oh, well,
Particularly
you're
for
gonna have to give me a tip on
For
some.
shredded, there's one called Evan, Bevan. Yeah, and it primarily comes in like shredded packs. You can just make a grilled cheese. It tastes better than real grilled cheese. I mean, I haven't had a real grilled cheese in years, so I don't even remember what it tastes like. But some of that on some good whole wheat bread, a little bit of ketchup, perfect.
Sourdough.
Yeah, I've already eaten one loaf of sourdough today, and I've got another one in my bag.
You make grilled cheese in the skillet or the oven?
I like to do my cast iron, but when I'm lazy, I just use my frame.
Oh, microwave.
Oh, what I'll do is I'll toast the bread on the skillet, and then just put the
okay.
cheese in the middle and melt
Oh,
it.
the melted cheese, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I've never done it that way, but
It's a quick
I can
one.
imagine that would work.
It's like a quick piece.
And, well, it's a pleasure talking to you, Austin.
Yeah, likewise.
I hope you were able to at least explore your reasoning a little bit. Well, it sounds like you had a pretty good understanding of why you believed it in the first did. It sounded like something you hadn't thought about.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Why you believed it.
I do like to.
Something you hadn't questioned.
Yeah, I do like to think. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm a deep thinker, but I do like to, very carefully consider my beliefs before I commit to anything, just because there's a lot of bad information out there. So,
Okay, I think we can all agree with that.
yeah, I'm not keen to jump into any particular, political alignment or social alignment or anything until I've seriously done the research and understand what the issue at hand is, because bad things happen when people jump into things that they don't believe in. So,
It sounds very pretty.
yeah, I try.
Well, I hope the next time you get a coffee, they have non-dairy cream.
Yeah, well, it was Ghiradelli. I was hoping they could give me some non-dairy hot chocolate.
I
R.I.P.
think they're just too
The two
chocolate centric. They're too dairy centric. Doing a chocolate beer. Wow. What are you gonna do next?
I am off to take a selfie in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then I'll walk back down to Sona.
I'm not today for that.
What's that?
I don't know if today's the day.
Oh no, I'm gonna walk right up to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a scavenger hunt list that I've got to check
Oh,
off.
all right.
Yeah.
Who set you up with that?
My dad. He's
Uh-huh.
from here originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and it's kind of like it reminds me of San Francisco bingo.
Yeah.
You got to take a picture of a coyote, a wild parrot.
Yeah. I've not seen a coyote yet.
You saw one on Bernal Heights. Well, I hope you hit your treasure hunt.
Yeah. Doing my best. How am I doing on time?
Scavenger hunt.
Okay, scavenger hunt, treasure hunt, scavenger hunt. Yeah. It's only
Scavenger
4 o'clock. We got time. Anyway, yeah, it was lovely talking to you.
Austin, I hope we meet again.
And Cosmo, right?
Yeah,
And
David.
David?
Yeah, thanks
Yep.
so much for stopping.
And my
That was
channel
great.
is called Intrepid Chimp.
What's that?
My channel is called Intrepid Chimp.
Okay.
I only have one video up so far.
Are you on Instagram as well?
I'm not on
Yeah.
YouTube.
And you have this on Instagram.
You'll find my channel when
Okay.
I post these videos on
Okay,
this channel.
cool.
A still is already up on Instagram
Cool.
of this scene.
Awesome. Yeah, I just gave you a follow, so
Well,
Likewise.
you're
Cool,
the
cool.
first,
awesome.
so thank you so much.
Yeah, and good luck. I hope some more people
So it's
stop
already
by.
a success. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm glad, and I hope more people stop by, and I hope you get some really interesting conversations this afternoon.
We hope so too.
All right.
Thanks
well,
again.
David will be up next.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's your opinion or your belief?
No, I'm not
about
going to
this.
interview him. He's going to interview someone.
Oh, he's gonna interview someone.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought you were gonna do like a sort of.
No, he's going to be up next.
Well, we
to
might
interview.
do like a debrief of how this went, and then hope for another interview.
Cool. All right. Well, it was lovely to meet both of you, and best of luck with this. And yeah, I'll look out for it coming out on YouTube.
All
Far
right.
out.
Give it a like and a comment.
Happy
Cool.
trails.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
And yeah, maybe we can meet up again and talk about
Well,
ethical, philosophical things.
all right.
Who
Stay
knows?
tuned to my channel.
Yeah, we'll do. Have a good one. Take care.
Never got a racer.
I have two statements, two questions.
Okay.
Statement number one: your cat cam does not have a red light. The green light.
Stop recording, whatever.
Okay. So that was my question. Do you want me to tell you if you know stuff you're at?
Not really, because
Got others.
I have other cameras here.
Okay.
Kind of the idea is that I don't need to worry about any individual camera.
Second statement is, I've never had chicken milk.
Did you say that?
I thought that you brought that up. Like something about if they found out that chickens are.
Didn't have contraband.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
anything from milk.
No, but we were talking about dairy. I just figured. Chickens and dairy. Yeah. And then, how, like, do Alden have nipples?
Maybe I should have said maybe they discovered the cows don't break. That was yeah. What's your question?
Do almonds have nipples?
No, but yeah, how can you milk them? Yeah, that's what the dairy industry likes to say. It's not milk.
It's. I thought it was ironic that we had an interview about decommissioning dairy and Ghiradelli.
Yeah, and he specifically went in there for coffee, and there was some complaint. Ghiradelli didn't have non-dairy drinks. They were chocolate here. So, I think that could be the reason they don't have non-dairy. They're dairy.
They're pro-dairy.
Pro-dairy.
So how do you think that went?
Did pretty well. Again, you know, he had thought about it. Yeah, I'd like to get someone who hadn't thought about it before. And had to think about it for the first time. I probably thought about it a lot, you know. And then they weren't super confident about it. There were no results with friends. So, again, like, I mostly agree with their position, but like I've been trying to do what you suggested before and just bring it back to why is scientific method invented? Why is you know, why is journalism or good way to know those kind of things.
Why do they think they're reasoning?
That's really all I can do, and I agree with them 100%, is just ask why they think those are good ways to know. Because I obviously think they're good ways to know too, because I'm in the same position, but the reasons that I think are good reasons aren't going to be the same as his. So that's why I need to ask him what they are, because he might have better reasons.
Yeah, you might want to adopt another one.
Yes, he might have better reasons. I want his reasons too. So yeah, I think it went pretty well, but
You would have done differently?
Not really. I kind of floundered a little bit for a second there, but aside from that, it went pretty well. This chart. It was raining there, but not recording.
Anything else you want to say about it? I thought it was great.
Yeah, it went pretty well. I'm excited to try this people for this. He says it's great. And I didn't want to say anything to him at the time, but I've never had a vegan pizza I like. So if he's found one, that could be the highlight of this interview for me. Because like I said, I agreed with everything he said, except for the fact that there's good vegan pizzas. So we'll see. Maybe his claim in that department is correct, but we'll have to do some double-blind peer review studies. They don't know it. We've secretly switched their cheese for vegan. Let's see. They like it. They didn't notice.
Like the old commercials where they switch
Oh,
their
there's crystal.
Yeah.
That's where I was basing that off of.
Yeah.
You have a eraser.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. Oh, nice one.
Yes.
You want to stick around?
And we got immediately, which was nice. We didn't have to wait. It's up to you. It's kind of windy here. We can try to go to Alta Plaza. It'll be less windy there. And get on the thing. You're 5 minutes here. I think we can get you in here.
Pretty cool if Nigel showed up again.
Let me stop my camera. Save the batteries.
Pretty sure.
There we go. I'm ready. Rolling on a hat cam. Just for the hope. It was fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Me too. And fog was just the right amount. It's not obscuring Alcatraz anymore either. So you got a nice view of Alcatraz. Some of my footage is going to be higher up than any of your footage, so you can get maybe some shots of Alcatraz and stuff. Just a quick, you know, while there's a pause or something. Yeah. Look, they're swimming over there.
Yeah, I know.
It's Aquatic Cove, yeah.
They're always swimming out here.
Yeah. It's like the swimming spot. It's like protected. There's buoys and stuff. There's no undertow. It's like a harbor.
Safer place to swim.
It's a safe harbor.
Harbor.
It's a David harbor.
I can have that. I think we'll need chairs at the next spot.
Possibly. But we can park right next to that park. We don't have to walk.
No, not what.
Hello, baby. It's one of the best use cases for these hat cams, the side tracking shot. You can walk with someone, but be filming them at the same time.
Hands free.
Hands free, yeah.
All right.
Go full on backwards hat. Can you see it at all?
Yep.
Yeah,
We get through there.
I think so, but we need to, yeah, need to go up to the car. Husky! Beauty.
She's upside.
It's still pretty warm.
Yeah. Especially out of the wind.